Welcome to an extraordinary journey through one of history's most unexpected military partnerships. Long before satellites, radio, or the internet, armies across the globe relied on a small, unassuming bird to carry their most vital messages across battlefields and continents. For over 2 millennia, the humble pigeon served as the backbone of military communication systems, demonstrating remarkable abilities that no human technology could match at the time. Today, we'll explore how these feathered messengers changed the course of wars, saved countless lives, and established principles that continue to influence modern military communication doctrine. Our story begins in ancient Persia around 500 BCE, where military leaders established the first sophisticated network of pigeon posts. These birds possessed a remarkable homing ability, capable of finding their way back to their roost from distances exceeding 1,000 miles. This natural navigation system made pigeons invaluable for transmitting information rapidly across the vast Persian Empire. The Romans, always quick to adopt effective military innovations, further refined this system, establishing pigeon stations throughout their territories to maintain communication across their expanding empire. These early applications weren't merely convenient, they laid crucial groundwork for military communication doctrine that would evolve over centuries. In the 13th century, Genghis Khan created what historians consider the most extensive pre-modern pigeon communication network in history. This remarkable system spanned nearly all of Asia and parts of Eastern Europe, essentially covering the largest contiguous land empire the world had ever seen. The Mongols established over 1,000 pigeon lofts stationed approximately 25 miles apart, creating a communication superhighway that allowed messages to travel at unprecedented speeds of 200 to 300 miles per day. This was several times faster than human messengers could achieve, even on horseback. The strategic advantage this gave the Mongol forces cannot be overstated. They could coordinate troop movements, relay intelligence, and respond to threats with a speed that their enemies simply couldn't match. As warfare evolved through the medieval period, so did the military applications of carrier pigeons. Ancient Greek city-states had used them to announce Olympic victors, but in medieval Europe, pigeons became essential assets for castle defense. During sieges, which could last months or even years, pigeons allowed besieged forces to maintain communication with the outside world and coordinate with potential relief armies. What made pigeons particularly valuable was their remarkable reliability in various weather conditions. These birds could fly through rain, fog, and even moderate snowfall, maintaining vital communication links when roads became impassable for human messengers. This dependability led to the establishment of permanent military pigeon corps in several European armies by the 18th century. These units developed specialized breeding programs, selectively breeding birds for speed, endurance, and navigational precision, essentially creating the world's first purpose-bred military communication system. The true golden era for military pigeons emerged during World War I, when the chaos and destruction of modern warfare often rendered conventional communication methods useless. The British Army Pigeon Service alone employed over 20,000 pigeons and 380 specialized pigeon handlers for battlefield communication. When traditional telegraph lines were cut or radio silence was necessary to avoid enemy interception, pigeons proved indispensable. One of the most famous war pigeons, Cher-Ami, saved nearly 200 American soldiers of the Lost Battalion in 1918. Despite being shot through the chest and losing a leg during her mission, she delivered a message that prevented further friendly fire on the trapped soldiers. For her heroism, Cher-Ami was awarded the French Croix de Guerre and became one of the most celebrated animal heroes of the war. Perhaps most remarkable was the development of pigeon photography during this period. Julius Neubronner, a German inventor, created ingenious miniature cameras that could be strapped to pigeons' chests. These cameras took automatic photographs at set intervals as the birds flew over enemy territory, providing valuable aerial reconnaissance at a time when aviation technology was still in its infancy. The lightweight cameras weighed only 75 grams and could capture surprisingly detailed images of enemy positions, troop movements, and fortifications. This innovation represented one of the first forms of aerial intelligence gathering, preceding modern drone technology by nearly a century. The photographs provided military planners with crucial information that would have been impossible to obtain through other means, especially in heavily defended areas where reconnaissance aircraft couldn't safely fly. The training regimen for military pigeons became increasingly sophisticated during this era. Birds underwent extensive conditioning exercises to acclimate them to the sounds of artillery fire and explosions, stimuli that would naturally frighten untrained birds. Mobile pigeon lofts, converted buses or trucks housing hundreds of birds, followed troops near the front lines, allowing for rapid deployment and message delivery. Messages were typically written on lightweight rice paper, inserted into small aluminum canisters, and attached to the bird's leg. In critical situations, multiple pigeons would carry duplicate messages to ensure delivery. The success rates for properly trained birds exceeded 98%, a reliability rate that modern electronic systems would struggle to match under battlefield conditions. The French military took pigeon training even further, developing specialized maritime pigeons that could be released from submarines when they briefly surfaced. These birds were trained to return to coastal lofts, providing a crucial communication link for underwater vessels that could not transmit radio messages without compromising their position. During World War II, military forces further advanced pigeon-based communication with increasingly sophisticated applications. Operation Columba, a covert British intelligence initiative, involved airdropping over 16,000 homing pigeons in small containers with questionnaires over German-occupied Europe. Local resistance fighters would find the birds, attach intelligence information about German troop movements and defenses, and release them to fly back to England. This operation provided crucial intelligence about German V-1 and V-2 rocket launch sites, enabling Allied forces to target and destroy these facilities before they could launch devastating attacks on British cities. The operation remained classified for decades after the war, demonstrating how seriously military leadership took this seemingly low-tech approach to gathering intelligence behind enemy lines. Perhaps the most surprising development came when the British military developed the first pigeon-guided missiles, precursors to modern smart weapons. Project Pigeon, led by renowned behavioral psychologist B.F. Skinner, trained pigeons to peck at a target displayed on a screen inside the nose cone of a missile. The pecking would adjust the missile's guidance system, directing it toward enemy ships or installations with remarkable accuracy. While these systems were never deployed in combat as electronic guidance systems eventually proved more practical, these experiments demonstrated the remarkable trainability of pigeons and their potential for complex military applications. The project represented one of the first attempts at creating a smart weapon that could identify and track specific targets, a concept that would eventually revolutionize modern warfare decades later. As with any military technology, countermeasures soon developed. The German military attempted to disrupt Allied pigeon communication by deploying trained falcons near essential facilities to intercept messenger birds. This prompted the Allies to conduct nighttime pigeon releases, as the predatory falcons were ineffective in darkness. The Germans also experimented with radar systems specifically designed to detect flocks of pigeons, illustrating how seriously both sides took this communication method. Meanwhile, MI-14, the British military intelligence unit, developed their own advanced pigeon technologies. They created miniaturized vacuum tube radios that specially bred larger pigeons could carry. These pigeon transmitters could broadcast short, encoded bursts of information as the bird flew, creating mobile transmission nodes that were nearly impossible to track or jam with 1940s technology. This represented one of the earliest forms of mobile, secure communication, a concept that would later evolve into modern encrypted battlefield communications. By the Korean War in the 1950s, electronic communication had largely replaced pigeon-based systems, ending a 2,500-year military relationship. However, the contributions of these birds have not been forgotten. 32 pigeons have been awarded the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, for their service, more than any other species. This recognition speaks to the extraordinary impact these birds had on military operations throughout history. The last military pigeon unit was officially disbanded by the Swiss Army in 1996, closing the final chapter on this unique form of military communication. Today, preserved specimens of famous war pigeons can be found in museums worldwide, including G.I. Joe at the U.S. Army Communications Electronics Museum and Paddy at the Imperial War Museum in London. These preserved birds serve as reminders of the crucial role these unassuming animals played in military history. Despite their obsolescence in modern warfare, military carrier pigeons established many principles that continue to influence contemporary communication systems. The Pigeon Corps demonstrated the importance of redundancy, sending multiple birds with the same message to ensure delivery. They exemplified mobility, using transportable lofts that could follow troops. They embodied security through simplicity, using a communication method that couldn't be electronically intercepted or jammed. And most importantly, they established the doctrine of maintaining communication channels even when conventional infrastructure fails, a principle that remains central to military planning today. In many ways, modern military communication systems, from battlefield radios to satellite networks with multiple redundancies, owe their doctrinal foundations to lessons learned from centuries of pigeon-based communication. For over 2,500 years, the humble pigeon served as one of humanity's most reliable military allies, delivering critical messages across battlefields when all other methods failed. From ancient Persian posts to the trenches of World War I and the covert operations of World War II, these remarkable birds repeatedly demonstrated capabilities that no human technology could match at the time. Their 98% message delivery rate under battlefield conditions remains impressive even by today's standards. Though electronic communication eventually rendered them obsolete, the principles established by military pigeon services, redundancy, mobility, simplicity, and resilience, continue to influence modern military communication doctrine. The story of military pigeons reminds us that innovation often comes from unexpected sources, and that sometimes the most effective technologies aren't human inventions at all, but partnerships with the natural world. As we develop increasingly sophisticated communication systems, the legacy of these feathered messengers lives on, a testament to one of history's most successful examples of human-animal cooperation in conflict. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for updates. Your feedback is appreciated. We hope to see you again.